Have you ever not went camping because you're fearful of the weather, or maybe you were camping and didn't know what to do if there was severe weather approaching? Well, we want to talk about that in this week's episode of Travels with Delaney. Welcome back, everybody. So we felt that it's the appropriate time of the year to be talking about how to deal with severe weather when you are camping.
Right.
And over the years, we have dealt with situations where we've both been driving in severe weather, pulling our trailer, or actually at the campground with our trailer. And we wanted to share with you some of the tips and tricks that we've used, but please understand we are not experts by any means, and so you should continue to watch other videos and do your own research to find out what works best for you. But we wanted to share with you what we do.
Right.
And if you have comments at the end of this video or suggestions, please drop those down in the box below, because it's a good place for all of you that are subscribers and a part of our caravan that regularly go through those comments to see what other people are doing that maybe we didn't share. So
Exactly.
most important thing we feel like is to have a NOAA weather radio, and we have this one that we carry in Carl.
Yep.
What's nice is we can plug it into 12 volt as long as we have power, but if we don't, this particular one has the battery backup. I think they probably all do.
Yeah, I think so.
And one of the things you do need to know is you do have to program these for the county that you're in. So what I typically will do is if I know where we're going to be camping, I will look up the county codes on the NOAA website so that I can pre-program it or have the codes for the entire trip.
Right.
What's really nice is you push one button and you can actually get the weather. I guess I would have to turn it on.
Monday night, partly cloudy with a 50%
There we
chance
go.
of showers.
So what this will do, though, is once you program it for your county, it will sound an alarm when there is severe weather or
Right.
severe weather threat.
Exactly.
Things like watches and warnings. So we carry this with us just as a way to alert us. Now, we also use apps on our iPhones that will also do the same thing. So many times we have several things going off at the same time.
Right.
But we'd rather have that, especially if we're asleep. It lets us know there's severe
Exactly.
weather. So I will put a link for a weather radio for our Amazon page down below, and I'll also get that put into our Amazon page, just so if you don't have one of these, and a lot of times you can pick them up at local stores.
Like our local grocery always has them.
Yeah,
Every spring.
the Kroger always carried them, and I
Right.
think they used to be about $35.
Yeah.
So definitely have a weather radio. Patty, what else do we use?
We use the Weather Channel app a lot. It gives me notices, even now with our little rain spells we've been having on when we're going to get rain and when it might flood or whatever. So we use that a lot.
And just to look at the forecast for while we're going to be gone. It's a good
Right.
way to know, like, should we be prepared?
Right.
And understand, just because it doesn't show that there could be severe weather over the next 3 or 4 days,
Yeah.
we're constantly checking it because weather patterns can change very quickly.
Exactly. We learned that last summer.
So, yeah, so we do like the Weather Channel app.
Yep.
And then our other favorite app,
Is on RadarScope, and it was one that a friend of Patrick's had told us about, and it's really great. It gives us a more accurate, like up-to-date weather situation than the Weather Channel radar.
yeah, Weather Channel radar tends to be about 15 to 20 minutes behind, where RadarScope tends to be no more than 3 or 4 minutes behind, so it's really up to date. It also puts boxes. Now, yellow, for instance, means a watch.
Right.
Red means a warning, I believe, and so that would be severe weather, or no, I'm sorry, it only does warning. So yellow is severe weather warning, red is tornado warning, and I
right.
believe orange might be flood warning.
Right.
Okay, so then you can see if you're in a severe weather warning box or a tornado box. Now, several years ago, our college hosted Reed Timmer, the extreme storm chaser and meteorologist. And I remember I asked Reed, because he was using, I believe, RadarScope at the time, and I asked him if he could show me, like, I said, if we're traveling in a camper,
Yeah.
what do I need to know? And he said, if you see that red box, and I said, yeah.
said,
He
"Get
goes,
out."
get out, because that's a tornado warning box. He said, you
Right.
just don't want to mess around. So I've always kind of heeded Reed's advice on that.
Right.
If you're in a tornado warning box with your camper, you probably do not want to be in your camper.
Now, is this, because you have it more upgraded than I do on the RadarScope, but you have it upgrade for
to the
light and
pro level. Yeah. So with RadarScope, number one, is not a free app. It's fairly expensive when it comes to apps, but I feel like it's worth every cent. We use that app all the time, regardless of it's whether it's severe weather or not, just to see if there's rain coming and how heavy the rain's going to be, that type of thing. But you can then get a yearly subscription for an additional amount that'll show you things like lightning strikes, and I really like that because just to see how much lightning is in the area, or if the storm has lightning that's coming.
Does it also do wind velocities that we
yeah,
before?
That's included in the actual app without paying the subscription. But yes, there are screens you can go to see things like wind velocity. So it does so much more than even what we
than we probably use.
No, right. So just because we're not meteorologists.
Right,
So we use our weather radio, we use our phones. Now let's talk about some of the tips. And I think tip number 1 is you have to be aware of what's going on with the weather.
Right.
Okay. Patty is constantly checking the forecast, both short and long term. And once you know that there's a chance for it, you just want to keep that in the top of your brain.
Right. Be
to
aware
constantly
of what's going on.
Absolutely. And so I think one of the reasons we've stayed safe over the years is because we're probably overcautious.
I think so.
When we had our seasonal site, we were always the first ones to evacuate. And people sometimes made fun of us. But you know what? I would rather be safe than sorry, and it only takes one time.
Right.
We had a situation our first year of seasonal camping where a storm came on early in the morning. We kind of woke up and noticed that it was getting bad out. I pulled up the Doppler and said, boy, it's getting bad out. And before we could actually get out of the trailer, we could feel the trailer rocking. And just as I opened the door to go out, we saw our neighbor's Rubbermaid shed blow apart. And we ran. We were soaked. We ended up getting to the shelter. And there was no tornado, but understand straight line winds can do a lot of damage.
Yes.
And so ever since that, we have kind of just agreed it's better to get out, go someplace safe and ride out even if there's nothing, as opposed to putting ourselves in danger.
Exactly. Wait until the last minute.
Yeah. Let's talk about towing, because we have been caught in some storms while we're towing.
Exactly.
And Patty is the best co-pilot, because what she will do is when we think we see weather or we're driving into weather.
I get on the Weather Channel app. I get on the RadarScope. I have both of our phones going. Like this past summer, I had his phone on one thing and my phone on something else. Because we were in Iowa and we're trying to get to Kansas City, and we were just trying to, at that time, dodge the tornadoes, because tornadoes were all over that
So
day.
you had, I believe, your phone, or my phone was on the RadarScope continuously. Her phone was looking at exits that were coming up and what was there. I believe you were using an app called iExit.
Yep, I have iExit on my phone.
And so she was constantly looking for places to say, hey, I think you can get one more exit, and then you might want to pull off, and at that exit, here's where we could park and be safe.
Right. Like a gas station or a Walmart or something like that for us to hang out until we knew it was okay to go again. So.
If you can't get to an exit, then you may be safer to pull off, because we've been sometimes where the rain is so heavy I can't even see in front of me. And so we will pull off, put our blinkers on, our emergency flashers. And but I think that's the key with the towing is don't be afraid to get off the interstate and set out until the storm passes.
Now, I don't know who taught us, but they told us to never really go under an overpass.
Right.
That don't want to do
it's
that.
It's kind of a myth about, it used to be people would pull under a bridge and then they'd run up under. But I think most people have said now that's really not safe because the winds can sweep through there and suck you out.
Yeah, I don't know who taught us that, but we don't do that.
So we don't do that. And, pull off, get a bite of dinner. That's what we did last summer.
Right.
In Iowa, we stopped at a Walmart. I ran in and got some food. We had dinner in the parking lot, and then we began our trek. Unfortunately, that trek took forever.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what? We've always said worst case scenario, if it's so bad and we don't think we continue on, we will spend the money to stay in a hotel for the evening.
And we've done that before too.
Yeah. So, in fact, in Iowa, we were ready to stay in a hotel. We stopped, and it was so bad out. But the hotel was full, but they were kind enough to let us sit in their lobby until it was safe to venture back out.
They let Delaney be in there with us. So.
Yeah. The other thing is when you do pull off or you're parking, one of the things that I always try to do is I try to park parallel with the wind. So meaning if this is this is a bad example. If this is my trailer and vehicle, I want to park so that the wind is going with the trailer.
Right.
What I don't want to do is park the trailer long ways and then have the wind to where the trailer can rock more
Right.
easily and potentially flip over.
Right.
I also, if at all possible, try to park with the trailer at the back and the tow vehicle at the front with the winds coming this way, because if there were to be flying debris, I don't want them coming into my windshield. I want them coming into the back of the trailer. Now, I
Right.
know sometimes you can't always do that.
No.
But you know, that's something we do try to do when I have pulled over in those situations. Is I try to quickly think about how do I want to park the vehicle, and many times we will actually park it and then get out and go into the gas station,
Right.
go into the Walmart, whatever, just for safe purposes.
yep,
So,
yep.
just another little thing we do.
We do. Yep.
All right.
When we go to campgrounds, we always, when we check in, we always ask where the shelter houses are. Where can we go if the weather gets bad? Just because we've learned over the years to do that first. That way, if we can get a campsite near one of those, then we do that, or where the nearest one is, that we could take us and Delaney.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's just really, again, that self-awareness of knowing, you know, and
and
where
then we
that's
always
at.
ask them too, what county are we in?
Yep.
If we're not sure, because that way on our weather radio, if it starts to go off, or we can definitely set it to that county to be safe on our visit there.
And many times we'll just ask them if we think there is a chance of weather. What have you heard? What do you know? And we'll also talk to our neighbors in the campground. A lot of times in campgrounds, you know, one of the reasons we love camping,
Everybody's so
you know,
nice.
I always say in a hotel, you can pass people in the hallway all day, nobody says hello.
Right.
In a campground, it's like you're camping with family, even though they're complete strangers.
Right.
And so sometimes we help each other out and we'll let each other know if there is impending weather.
Right.
But just talking with the staff and fellow campers may give you some insights into what to do.
Right.
The other thing is, we always, when we're camping, if we know there's a threat of severe weather, we are prepared, meaning we will sleep in our clothes.
Yep.
We will have shoes right by the bed.
Yeah, I always have a bag, especially, you know, with our pup Delaney. I had snacks for her, water for us, water for her, our medicines. That
First
way-
aid kit.
First aid kit. That way, if we had to get out of there, we could easily.
And I'm just going to share this, even though Patty didn't want to. Patty packs her wedding ring, and which I think is awesome. It's sweet.
I don't
But
wanna
she doesn't
lose
want
it.
to risk losing her wedding ring.
Usually
so.
we go camping. If it's not our seasonal camping, I don't have it. I leave it here at the lodge. But sometimes I have it, and
Yeah.
I don't want to lose it. So.
So yeah, have that bag ready to go. So if we know there's severe weather, we'll put a little bag together, have it sitting right by the door, and again, we'll have a lot of times we will sleep in our clothes if we think it is supposed to get bad out. The other thing that I will typically do is if I know there's a storm coming, I'm watching it on RadarScope, they're saying it's going to get to us, I will set an alarm well before the anticipated arrival. So if I'm looking at RadarScope and it looks like maybe it's still 2 hours out, and that's what the local meteorologists are saying, I may set it for 45 minutes before that, so I wake up and then I reassess the situation.
Right. We look at the scopes. We listen to the weather again.
Yep.
And then decide from there what we need to do.
Because I don't necessarily want to again wait till the weather radio goes off and then maybe
And have
it's
to
pouring
panic,
down
yeah.
rain at that point, and then we have to get wet to evacuate. I just soon get up, and if we need to go ahead and get to a shelter house or whatever.
Yep.
And honestly, there have been times where we've actually went to the tow vehicle, set in the tow
Yep,
vehicle
and
before
looked at
even
the scopes and
yeah,
radars
and then
and
decided whether we wanted to
Right.
leave and go to a shelter house. So.
Yep.
But yeah, have that emergency bag and keep your clothes and your shoes.
And we always have one thing in there. We always have in our truck is our first aid kit,
Yep.
just in case you need that. So.
Yeah,
we
just
have all
think
that.
about things you might need.
Right.
So, and I talked about setting the
Yep.
alarm, and I think the big thing is evacuate early.
Well, and just be aware of what's going on.
Yep.
Don't go in thinking, oh, I'm safe just because I'm in a trailer.
Yeah.
A lot of our friends that were seasonal thought that.
Yeah, and you know, I think there's this theory that the bigger trailer I own, the safer I am.
No.
And you know, maybe they're heavier, but then they also have more mass in terms of. So I honestly don't feel, and we had friends who own park models, which are again basically a trailer that are made to look like a little house, and I always felt like they thought they were safer in it than we were in our fifth wheel. But the truth is, when a tornado comes, it doesn't sit there and go, oh, I won't touch the park model, or I won't touch the heavy fifth wheel, I'll just take the little tab. No. And so I just say it's better to be safe and get out and evacuate. So
And sometimes even with like severe lightning, we knew we were okay because of the tires. Wasn't
Yeah,
that right?
you know, I think most people would say, you know, you hear so many different things on this, but the main thing is we've always felt fairly safe because of the rubber of the tires. They say will help
With
too.
lightning strikes
Yeah,
and so forth.
and same way in your vehicle.
Right.
Lightning, it can be pretty ugly. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen it hit almost directly in front of our vehicle before, I mean, really freak you out to where
And sometimes if it's just strong enough lightning, let's go to the shelter house
Yeah.
because we just feel better up there. So.
Oh yeah. So that's kind of how we do.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily run from the
No.
weather. Now on a weekend like, you know, this weekend
'Cause we're at
we
home.
really wanted to go camping. We're at
Yes.
home, but there's no threat of severe weather. But it was just going to rain all weekend, so we just decided, let's not go because if we're just going to be inside our
Right.
camper. But for instance, on our trip this summer, we know we're going to hit bad weather.
It might happen. Yeah.
It might happen. We know we're going to hit rain at some point.
Yeah.
So we don't let the weather
No.
chase us off.
No, we always find something.
Yeah,
to
we'll
do.
find something to do.
Right.
But with the severe weather, even that, we don't, you know, I don't try to necessarily drive around it
Right.
or things like that. I just try to be smart. And you know what? If it takes an extra day to get there, so be it, as long as we're safe.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
all right. I hope you found that information useful and please add any of your suggestions down in the comments.
Right.
I'm going to, as you know, I always respond if I can or if it needs to be responded to, but I really enjoy reading your helpful suggestions. So anything maybe we've missed over the
Right.
years that we should be doing, add those in there. And again, just stay alert, stay aware. Social media is a great way as long as
Yep.
you can get a cell signal. A lot of times on Facebook, there's meteorologists
Right.
out there who are providing information, local weather stations, things like that. And do that, you're going to be safe and you're going to have a great time
Right.
camping no matter what the weather
Exactly.
is. So,
Yep.
all right, everybody, until next time,
We'll see you on down the road.
good night.
Good night.
Slight chance of a thunderstorm.
Oh,